Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be nice and peaceable and listen to the music.
This episode of Auto Dealer Live is brought to you by TrueCar.
What's up, guys? It's Auto Dealer Live. I'm Dave Villa.
Friday.
Dave Cribbs.
Tommy Elwell.
And this is an incredible day, guys. An incredible show. We have the
Rockstars, baby.
Auto Stars, man. Rockstars. And got some first-timers on today. I can't wait to sit down and talk to, I believe we have, I know we have two people that have never been on the show before, and I've been trying to get Tim on for a while. Glad to have him on. And also we have Jason Lancaster on as well for the first time. And then we have Josh Mitchell. I think Josh has only been on a couple of times. Once was live at Digital Dealer, and then it's been a little while for Rebecca Chernek as well. But hey, listen, we've got a great group. We're going to discuss some incredible things, and I'm looking forward to today's show. Cribbs, what about you?
Yeah, I am too. You know, it's always exciting when we have new guests on the show. And, you know, I look down, I see a name like Tim Kintz, who I recognize as a world-class trainer, and I believe was a former GM of a dealership. Oh, yeah. So, you know, it's going to be great to hear his perspective on some of the topics we'll talk about today.
Absolutely. Tommy?
I think of Mick Jagger. I think of what's his name from Aerosmith? That guy, you know, from Aerosmith. Aerosmith. That's what I think of when I think of Rockstar. Steven Tyler. Yeah, that's what I think of about Rockstars. And then I think about the car business. I think about Rockstars, and then I think about these people.
Yeah.
These are all the four names that came to my mind.
That's what you had down to open with. That's pretty good.
I didn't have anything down to open with. That was spontaneous.
Oh, really?
Can you believe that?
Well, you got a front row
totally
seat.
Off the cuff.
You got a front row seat at the show.
Huh? Yeah. It's like getting backstage passes. You know what I mean? Getting to be with the groupies.
The
groupies over here.
Well, you know, we get to sit down with we have front end represented, we have finance represented, we have BDC represented, and then we have
marketing.
Aftermarket.
What's Spork? Is Spork?
It's aftermarket.
That's cool. That's a cool name.
You know, might also help. Maybe, you know,
doing research.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Overrated.
But we've got some. Listen, so we're gonna have great discussion, and we want you to weigh in, guys. On Twitter, join our Twitter chat #AutoDealerLive. If you're on Facebook, make sure that you share the link. Listen, this is an automotive show where we like to say a show where the dealers go.
Yeah, a show where the dealers go.
They go.
Yeah, and like Dave said, feel free to tweet #AutoDealerLive. And look, if you're prompted to, call in. If you have a question of one of our guests, our producers will try to get you on the air. We'll take your call live if we have the opportunity. 813-574-1820. Make sure that you're engaging. There might just be some prizes too. I don't know about that. But,
yeah, I mean, we want to celebrate the top influencers. So make sure you weigh in and listen. We want to hear from you. We love. I mean, Tommy does this all the time. We scroll down through social media as the show's going on. Our producers are flagging us with comments.
iPads here with streaming stuff.
Streaming stuff right now.
Yeah.
And we see you guys active on Twitter already. So let's get this thing trending. And again, we want you to weigh in. If you got a call, you got a question, a comment, you want to get your voice heard, call in 813-574-1820. And what a great show last week, guys, just to kind of recap on the whole Trump. You know, I know there's been a lot of things that have been going on even since last Thursday, but, you know, it seems like the business, and we had a phenomenal month here with our dealers in January. It closed extremely strong. We've gotten off to a good start in February, and I really see the climate for the auto industry, and that's kind of what I want to talk about with these guys as well, because these are movers and shakers. And the crazy thing about it is these are individuals that when the market was low, they were on top. when the market was high or is high, they're on top, and they know how to move the needle. So, Dave, I'm looking forward to picking their brain, discussing with them, what they think really is going to be the difference maker in 2017. Look, there's got to be a difference maker.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And one thing about the automobile business and auto salespeople, dealers, and everyone on the front side of the dealership, I can say, they always have a way to look at it in a positive way, especially the people that we have on the show. So I think no matter what had happened politically, we would still have an optimistic approach because that's what we do as rock stars in the business.
Yeah,
I say let's compete with Pizza Day hashtag because today is National Pizza Day.
Come on now.
So if we don't get ginned up on the hashtag Auto Dealer Live, we're gonna fall down on the list, and National Pizza Day is gonna reign supreme.
Hey, what's Arnold mean by this is the
Pizza.
Flintstones desking deals? What does he mean by that?
What's that?
What does
Supreme
Arnold mean by?
Pizza.
Oh my G, OMG, this is like the Flintstones desking deals. What is that?
Talking about somebody with a
Well,
chisel.
you notice how he separated dusking and deals, so he couldn't have been referring to me.
Well, he's talking
Otherwise,
about
it
your
would
shirt
be
or
dusking
the
At
deals.
Dustin
one
Deals,
word.
right?
Is it, you talking about your shirt or something?
Maybe it's your
Is that your reference?
I can't imagine that he's
Your shirts?
referencing me.
Both of our shirts. What's wrong with my shirt?
Nothing's wrong with either of your shirts, but
Hey,
what is he
man.
talking about? What's a Flintstone deal?
I don't know. I like to,
Arnold,
Arnold,
please let us know. Thank
clarify,
you.
Arnold.
clarify what you're talking about with the Flintstone there. We'd like to bring that up. And also, we have probably got maybe a few more listeners today in the Northeast. I know there's a huge nor'easter, going on up there. I know it's going to be probably over blowing out today, but in the Northeast, man, they've gotten hit with major snow. So, maybe there's some people sitting around their computers or watching the show today that normally might be desking deals and getting some stuff done. So we appreciate you guys listening today. And
Maybe order a pizza to your house for National
Maybe
Pizza
so.
Day.
Maybe
and
so.
hashtag Auto Dealer Live while you're at it. Just do both.
I'm sure they've already eaten, man. It's 2:30.
Do you know much about NASCAR, Dave?
I know that
He does.
me and Lewis were just talking about this.
No,
I
he
don't.
does
No, I
nothing.
don't.
No,
I mean,
no.
I know this. I know
Nothing.
this. I know that I fall asleep on Sundays watching it because, listen, I don't want to offend anybody, but here's my deal with NASCAR. Like, I have ADD already. To watch somebody drive around in a circle 500 times, I'm pretty much out.
But here's the deal, and those NASCAR followers will be able to identify. But many years ago, NASCAR made its debut on television, and
Black and white when you were
and there
watching
was
it.
a big storm that came through, right? And it was a huge race. I think it was a Daytona 500, and there was a famous fight that took place. Two guys wrecked each other around the final lap, and they got out and started going fisticuffs, and the whole country saw it because half of them were
That
snowed
was
in, right?
Talladega Nights. That was
Right.
Bobby.
No.
Oh, okay, it's different.
However, my point being is that look, half the country's snowed in. All we need is a little scuffle here. I think we can.
Oh,
you
want to get? You want
I
to
think
get?
we
You
can
want to get
trend.
biz? Is that what you're talking about?
Not
Come
with
on,
you.
buddy. When you feel
Not with you,
froggy,
sir.
jump.
I'm not
You
gonna-
want to get a little piece of this?
I'm not going to
I
go
don't
after
think
a
so.
wall.
Right. Smart man. He uses wisdom. He uses wisdom in his decisions. Villa, I see you eyeing me. You want to get froggy too? I got the people's elbow for your piece.
And
Something else.
I slap
to
Tommy
see.
so hard his grandkids would be born dizzy. You like that?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, man.
All right. Well, anyway. Well, speaking of hitting
That was our
walls,
opener.
what are you doing that for? Oh, that's how you make cotton candy.
No, but seriously, we have a great show in store. I mean, this wasn't called Rockstars for any reason, and we've got almost every area of the dealership
Taffy.
represented. So I think it's going to be a great show, Dave. What do you think?
Still trying to
Yes,
get
and
clarity.
like Mike Davenport said, let me just make sure I'm not reading something that's not I don't agree with, but I agree with what I think I saw. And Mike Davenport says IPD supports National Pizza Day. Yes, I do. And let me tell you something. Not only do I support it, Mike, I ordered it from East Coast Pizza, which is not a plug because unless you live down here, let me tell you something. I'm going to New York in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be eating pizza, but this is straight up. They
that-
bring the water down from New York. Dude, it's freaking amazing.
It's
and I ordered
delightful.
pizza and meatballs, and I celebrated the heck out of National Pizza Day.
It
Yeah.
is
This
amazing.
piece.
I
How many
didn't.
points was that, by the way?
Well, two pieces of pizza, 15 points. That's it. I only ate two.
All right.
I could have ate the whole box.
For those
but
of you who don't know, Dave's been on a point system, and he has really shaved down. And
15
he's
pounds.
back to his original weight, 7 pounds, 6 ounces.
Almost. Hey, we got to go to commercial. Hey, we'll be right back with the Rockstar panel. Don't go anywhere. We have Tim Kintz, Jason Lancaster, Josh Mitchell, and Rebecca Chernek. You don't want to miss the real reason you're tuning in. Not us,
Yep.
them. Tell everybody about it, folks. This is
Tell
a
your
real deal.
friends.
You don't want to miss it.
Hi, I'm Chip Perry. The pledge was and is an action plan designed to address head-on the concerns that many of you told me about right after I took this job. Thus far, our dealer pledge has been aimed at fixing the major pain points that you told us about related to our product, our customer service, and our consumer advertising. I'd like to reiterate that our dealer pledge is our ongoing commitment to you, our dealer customers, and we will continue to work hard to improve our service to you.
Hey, Jason Rice from Lot Pop. Lot Pop is a new and used car consultant firm where we do weekly calls with our dealers, but we track out and trend out hundreds of charts looking at their inventory management tool and marketing on third-party sites. We've taken the top 25 metrics and created our own lot score for our dealerships, which will allow us to break our inventory down into current status of our inventory, the marketing of our inventory, the stocking of our inventory, and ROI. We're making that same scoring system available to all dealerships, clients or not. This is a great system for dealer groups also to compare their dealerships week after week and how their inventory is scoring out to their goals and the best practices. Introductory price of $195 a month, no contracts. Check out more information at lotpop.com. Click on Lot Score, get a demo, sign up for a demo, or call us at 844-LOTPOP4. Thanks.
Is this helping you sell cars today? Does the dealership look like it's being effectively managed? So why does this happen? The problem is managers that don't really know how to manage and training that isn't really training. Think about this. Most management teams focus almost all their attention on only what's happening on the lot and in the showroom. In other words, the majority of our managers' time and effort is focused on a very limited pool of opportunities. The most successful dealers and management teams recognize that there are exponentially more opportunities happening outside the showroom that need to be converted. They execute an effective training strategy and they manage a few simple yet highly effective processes. The following video demonstrates what it looks like when it all comes together. You'll feel the energy of managers and salespeople making things happen versus waiting for them to happen.
There is the captain.
That's how we do it.
And look at this. Salespeople everywhere on the phones. Oh, look at that book. What's that book? I love that book. Perfect. Thank you. Look at that. Nothing but salespeople on the phones making it happen.
Teach your managers how to do their jobs and provide them with the tools to get the job done. We help the best dealers in the industry get what they want, better, faster, and smarter. When waiting isn't working, contact us.
We're back. Thank you guys for listening. Auto Dealer Live. It's Thursday. It's our Rockstar panel, and we're going to bring our guest on. We have the president of Spork Marketing, Jason Lancaster. We have BDC director at Dan Cummins Chevrolet. Also, speaking man throughout the circuit. I think this guy's been everywhere in the last couple years, and I look forward to see him in Texas next month. Josh Mitchell. We have president and founder of Chernek Consulting, LLC, Rebecca Chernek. And we have CEO of Kintz Group, Tim Kintz. And guys, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. Our audience is excited to hear what you guys have to say. That's the reason they're tuning in today. And thank you guys for coming on. And I'm going to turn it over to Cribbs, and he's going to bring in the first question.
Yeah, let's go to Josh. Josh Mitchell, BDC director at Dan Cummins Chevrolet. As Dave mentioned, you're speaking on the circuits, and as everyone knows, the internet department now is fastly becoming the heartbeat of the dealership when it comes to sales. You're getting that customer initially, typically before anyone else. And it looks different at every dealership. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about the recipe that you have and what is successful about your internet department.
Well, with our BDC, we have it completely controlled inside a room, basically. And I've got 11 reps right now. But we control everything from, the inbound sales call to all internet leads, plus also chat. We probably get right now about 1,500 chats. But it's a controlled environment that we also, the sales staff help tremendously because I need those people in their seats answering calls because we're a very busy BDC. But we control it in there. The sales staff help us out when, a car needs to be looked at, needs to be pulled up front. We do some deposits and everything like that. And so they help tremendously with that. But it's a controlled environment. I call it the boiler room, and we hammer it out.
Yeah, Josh, let me ask you something real specific. We're coming on to a time where they call it the lease bubble, whatnot. People that leased cars 3-4 years ago when this really started booming, we started booming in sales, and now those leases are maturing. What specifically are you guys doing proactively to reach those customers, and also what percentage would you say that you're, I don't want to say converting, but what percentage of your sales really comes from that?
From leases?
Yes.
Okay. We've got, right now, we have designated one BDC rep to handle lease pull aheads. He is the guy who is going out there pulling these guys ahead 6-8 months, depending on what Chevrolet and GM will let us do. But he is hammering out that every single day. And he's reaching out to those customers way ahead of time before GM's actually going after them. So we're trying to hit it pretty hard early on to get those people back into the dealership and back into another lease. Right now, percentage-wise, we're probably on new cars. We're probably about 25% lease penetration now. Beforehand, we weren't as great, but it's been something that we've been focusing on here of lately.
Tim, let me go to you for a second. I know you spent time in retail, and for years, you obviously built credibility. With Joe Verdi Group, you are doing an amazing job at your own firm, and you guys are lighting it up. And my question to you though is this: back in the day when you were with Verdi Group, it was limited to some of the things that needed to be trained. I mean, it's different today. The playing field is thinned out, not evened out, thinned out. And guys like you that have risen to the top in 2017, what's your message to dealers? I mean, like when you go into a store, I know you're extremely picky about who you go into and who you work with, but when you go into this person who says, "Hey, I need the best," what's your message? What's the tone that you're going to set for the dealers that you're going to speak to in the first quarter of 2017?
Well, everything really comes down to we're not in the car business, we're in the people business first. And, as I walk around the convention hall at NADA, you see literally hundreds of computer programs and apps, and they're all going to obsolete us, and everything's going to help us sell cars, and it's going to sell cars for us. But what you realize is all that technology is great, and I love it, and I embrace it, but without the people part of it, the technology is an expense instead of an investment. We've had CRMs for how long that get used zero. It's salespeople won't log, won't put notes, management don't inspect it, we don't use the tracking to our advantage, and they become an expense. So really, doesn't it come down to learning to sync with people, with the technology, to be able to maximize our investment? And there was very few booths on how to develop people, but there was a hell of a lot of booths on buy my computer program and make your dealership process fit my program, instead of them figuring out how to have a process that works in the dealership. Because the days of one size fits all, it's over. It's every market's different, every customer demographic in the areas I go to. I'm in Fairbanks, Alaska, Queens, New York, Savannah, Georgia, and Sacramento, California, and everywhere in between. And there is differences in each market with the customers, with the salespeople, but the one common denominator is people. That's the common thread that runs through our business.
You got something, Dave?
I just, when I hear Tim speak like that as a trainer, I just relate so much, because I think that all trainers kind of share a very similar view when it comes to preparation to meet with a customer. The technology is amazing and it helps us connect in so many different ways, but the technology without the preparation of being able to actually interact with people and know what to do and how to walk through a process, to me, for me, that's a more important foundation. We'll use the technology to help us after we figure out that process. But go ahead.
It's part of the problem that we don't, that technology has grown as fast as it has, and that I think the car business was somewhat behind the times anyway. And then they try to catch up, and now we're playing catch up, and now there's a big gap in between the two? Is that?
I think it's more like the path of least resistance. I think, you can see maybe leads or capture ways to touch people in different ways technologically, but you've got to have the skill to back it up when eventually you're going to meet that customer.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to the next up, by the way, man, watching us eating pizza, celebrating National Pizza Day too.
Good on you guys.
But Tim, so let me go to Rebecca and as well. So I want to take it, and I know we're trainers in some capacity. We love teaching, and Tim and Rebecca, all of you guys, Dave, and so that's kind of an easy thing for us because we get excited about that. But let's take it outside of training for a second. Because really what we're doing every podcast is somewhat training for the people who are listening. Let's talk about, and I know this frustrates you, Tim, you, Rebecca, anyone who trains. That's why you're picky, because there's people that can spend money but never use it. I was talking to a buddy of mine, it was actually Alan Ram, not long ago, and he was talking about his frustration when he looked over last year's business and saw that there were some dealers that literally had not used the program. They paid for it.
Right.
And so let's take it out of training for a second, and really that's an issue, Rebecca, where you have technology, and let's talk about the technology that's available now in the finance department, and but without that person, isn't Tim right, Rebecca, that it's really a people game, and this technology is ahead of the people in some ways, and honestly, doesn't the technology expose even a further weakness between those that can do it and those who can't? Because if you can't do it with technology, then you really suck. Right? I mean, Rebecca.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right. So it's always been like that. So, for instance, let's go back in time, if you can, to the time when we first got involved in menu presentation. And I'll never forget when we went automated with menu selling, and I'm really dating myself back when we did that. And then I remember students coming into the workshop and saying, my boss just went ahead and automated this, and I have no idea what I'm doing with it. And oh, by the way, he told me that this was going to just make me more money. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me, because technology makes it better. Yes, it adds to the value, but it's not going to do it for you. It's not going to. It's going to not. It helps you. Yeah, it helps to increase your performance, but it doesn't do it for you. And I think that's the problem that we're seeing today with the technology. The technology is fantastic, great, good stuff, but it's certainly not geared to doing it for you. You have to understand the concept and the reason why you're doing what you're doing, and making sure that you can apply those best practices each and every single day, and that utilizing this technology to support that. That's what it's all about, right?
Nice.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So, yeah, it does become frustrating for us trainers, because we have to understand, the best practices behind why we're doing what we're doing. The concept about why is it that we're doing what we're doing.
Before Cribbs goes to Jason Lancaster and shifts gears a little bit and gives him a chance to weigh in here, Rebecca, just real quick, from the financing standpoint, 2016 was hot for subprime, and it's to the point where, subprime lenders were finding themselves, kind of gasping for air because major lenders were buying deeper. What does 2017 look like as an F&I expert? Are we going to see, with Trump coming in, with some of the things that are going on, maybe the Dodd-Frank, are we going to see lending free up? Are we going to see subprime, or deeper scores get bought? What's your opinion on that as we move into 2017 with regards to financing?
Well, I tell you what, I like the fact that Donald Trump is working on, or President Trump, let's say that, Mr. President Trump is working on this Dodd-Frank Act thing. And I think that our lenders are under a tremendous amount of scrutiny and monitoring in order to go ahead and process these or fund the contract. So I think that this will loosen up, this will help us. And again, we're not looking to do foolish practices by any means, but it allows us to, or the banks anyway, to be able to loosen up some of the purse strings, if you will. And I hope to see that maybe we can get more deals purchased and maximize, some of our profits because of it. But I also think that our F&I people, we just have to do a better job, and we have to be able to get engaged with the customer sooner on in the buying process, and making sure that perhaps maybe we we rid ourselves of some of this heavy lifting and help the customer understand the type of vehicle that perhaps maybe that they qualify for. And also, we got to get away from all this shotgunning stuff. I mean, we have desk managers who are shotgunning deals into the banks without any thinking or thought. We have to create better relationships with our banks, because when we do, and that means credit unions as well, that, you know, we understand the banks and who they're buying and why they're buying, who they're buying them from. And when we put all that together, we're going to sell more cars and maximize profits. That's what I'd like to see for 2017. And frankly, I think that's where it's going.
Good. Yeah, I say an amen to that, Rebecca. I think that, you know, desk managers, I've always been a fan of desk managers and finance managers working kind of on a parallel system and on the same page when it comes to lenders. And, you know, you've got to know your lenders and programs before you start sending things over. It's just, they're just going to get inundated, and then it kind of, you know, well, you know what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. They're going to ignore you, and they're going to go to the next dealer who's willing to go ahead and build that relationship.
Yeah, it just gets cloudy. It just gets cloudy for the lender. You're absolutely right. So let's go to Jason Lancaster, president of Spork Marketing. First of all, Jason, thank you and welcome to Auto Dealer Live. And I really want you to share with dealers, you know, we're talking about, you know, Rebecca just mentioned about raising profits in F&I. Let's talk about supplementing profits when it comes to either aftermarket sales or what your message would be to dealers when it comes to helping them out in that area.
So yeah, thank you. You know, our company specializes in helping a lot of dealers with marketing both the parts department and selling replacement parts online, which is a great opportunity for a lot of dealers. But we also work with dealers and installers and shops that are taking brand new vehicles or almost brand new, or vehicles that were brand new about 10 minutes ago and are now officially used cars, and putting, you know, thousands of dollars of accessories on them. So my message to dealers, particularly store managers and sales managers, is that there's probably a pretty good opportunity to put some accessories on one of the cars in your lineup, or maybe a few of the vehicles in your lineup. And as long as you're, you know, I used to work with a guy, I used to work in the car business, and his expression was, you know, pigs get slaughtered, and pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. As long as you're not a hog, you should be able to pick up some gross on new cars. And we even have a couple of clients that are using accessories to help build gross on used cars.
And we're going to come back to you in that for just in a second too, Jason, because I want to follow up on that. But a question came in from Manny Luna for Josh. Josh, he said, nice, Josh. He said, how many in the BDC, and what are the first steps in building a great BDC department? You got to understand, that's a question that so many people have. They really just don't understand across the board. And I think sometimes, Josh, you know, we have a small circle of or a sphere of influence where we're all doing it, but you know, the vast amount is going, where do I begin? You know, or they're losing people. And I'll give you one quick example. Dave, you and I are very familiar with this. We'll leave names out. Big group. Okay, we just landed a really, really big group, about a month ago. We did some marketing for them, drove down, included some trainings on BDC and some things like that. Went in, and I'm talking the variable ops director. I'm talking the guy who's over the whole group. Literally asked me, I'm not kidding you, okay, walked me in their BDC and goes, here's my BDC, what's going to look like, and I'm bringing these guys in as a buy sell. And he goes, should I put a cubicle, an extra cubicle right there, or should I leave the cubicles that are here and leave that space open and put a window? And I'm like, really? I'm thinking in my head. So, I mean, I answered him. I said, I'd put a cubicle there. He goes, okay, should I put a TV on the wall? And I'm like, sure. He goes, what size? And I'm like, 50 inch. He goes, where should I go? Best Buy? He asked me where to go buy a TV. The guy probably makes $800,000 a year. So here's my question is, it's not understood. And so the question by Manny Luna, Josh, how many in the BDC? What's the first steps in building a great BDC department? The inquiry minds want to know.
Well, we sold 840 units last month, new and used, and 537 came out of the BDC. So we're roughly in that 60 to 70% of the business that comes into the dealership is appointment-based customers. Mm-hmm. And so when you're looking to build a BDC, number one, you know, your culture is key. The culture at our dealership is the biggest reason why we've been so successful. Is our employees' relationship with every single manager is the single most important thing for us to do. And so when we go out and we're looking for people, number one, I don't go and look for car people, and I don't look for people with car experience at all. I just look for people who have had a little bit of business experience. And, you know, with resumes nowadays, you can't even freaking find somebody who can even lie on a resume. But, you know, I just go out and try to find people who have been in the service industry. That's been a key for us. I have a lot of people who are waitresses and waiters, and they've already been in that chaotic experience, and they have to have customer service experience in order for them to make tips. And so it's worked really well for the call center. And plus, we train the hell out of these people. And it's not just a 2-week training; it's training every single day. And I've got, you know, someone in there that's been there 9 years, and there's still teaching moments and training moments for her.
Is what I said though? Is the example I use? Is that something that doesn't surprise you though? I mean, the example I use.
No, I mean most people. Oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's you know, some dealers go, this is our room, and you know, we've got cubicles, and we're thinking about putting people. And then there's other dealers who think that a BDC is nothing more than a freaking cost to their business. Yet, you know, they let leads go untouched for hours on end, and phone calls get dropped, and they don't, you know, that costs you money. BDCs don't cost you money. Not following up with your customers and getting leads answered in a timely fashion costs you money.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I got, Tim, I have a question for you. Somebody, what did they tweet in? Did they call in? Tweeted in. Brent Weiss from The Next Up said, when it comes to technology, how much accountability is management willing to take?
That was for Tim?
That's for Tim.
You're talking to the mic. Tim, did you hear that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on the store. Depends on the leadership. Top down. It's I was just in a dealership. Left on Monday, Tuesday. Great buddy of mine, Jeremy Parrish at Jimmy Britt, actually has Next Up, and they're very effective with it because they have that leadership that trains you on how to do it, holds you accountable to do it, and it gets done because it's just part of the routine. He was talking about culture. That's what the culture is. And I go to other stores that if they put Next Up in, it would never get used. It would just be another point of frustration. It would be another pressure point in the dealership that frustrates people, and you would get no results from it, and they would drop it. So, you know, Next Up's a phenomenal tool for these guys. But again, it goes back to making sure, and it starts with the culture. It starts with the vision. It starts with the goals, not the training. It's changing the way people think is how we're going to make a difference in the store. Whether you have a traditional BDC, whether you have a portfolio department that has retention, recapture, and conquest experts, however it's going to be set up, you got to be all in. It's got to have the right processes and then execution.
Yeah, you know, I think
great, but use it.
I think Tim makes a great point because I think ownership comes with a responsibility. So when we own a particular technology, or whether it's a vendor software or some type of program that we're going to invest in and use, well, there's a responsibility on our part as well. Just like, you know, I have Facebook. There's a lot of things I can do with it, or I can just let it sit there and lay dormant and hope that it just works for me. And if it doesn't, I can blame it, right? So there's definitely ownership in the technology that you're using as dealers. Let me go back to Rebecca Chernek real quick. And Rebecca,
Tim, did you have a follow-up on that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Let's go to Rebecca Chernek. And Rebecca, you know, what is the hot thing right now in finance when you're talking to finance managers and finance departments? Like, what's on the forefront right now as far as being able to help them increase, you know, their back end penetration?
Well, I think as far as technology goes, or the customer goes, or competitor goes, what's on the forefront right now is digital retailing, really. And for those that may or may not be aware of what digital retailing is, it's a matter of giving the customer, unlocking the capability for a customer to be able to do some of the self-desking prior to even them coming into a dealership to either purchase their vehicle or be able to determine some of the terms and financing arrangements that that would be available to them. So we're unlocking the capability for the customer to do that prior to coming into a dealership, maybe reducing some of the heavy lifting. Now, the benefit of that is that perhaps maybe we can speed up the overall process, giving the customer the ability to understand their budget and what type of vehicle and budget that meets that come together as far as our payment terms, et cetera. And once, having that information earlier on can certainly create a better buying experience for the customer as well as obviously for the dealership, and be able to maximize our profits, and also provide the customer with a product awareness prior to, meaning the ancillary product offering service contract, if you will. And, there's debate on how to do that, whether or not we want pricing or not, or whether that sort of thing. But I feel like more of awareness for customers, because that's where it's going. That's the forefront. That's what's happening. And so we have to do a better job in embracing the customer earlier on in the buying experience, and understand that customers are not only going to be shopping cars online, but they're also going to be looking to shop financing online. So we've got to get prepared, and we have got to do a better job in understanding how to engage our customers earlier on and understand, as Tim mentioned, this process and how our processing culture will match or meet that expectation, if you will.
Tim,
that's
I'm going
on the forefront.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Tim, this question came in for Josh, but I'm going to let him follow up on it. But I'm going to throw this to Tim real quick, because you're not a BDC manager, but you're a car guy, and you're a guy who would and has been a GM. And if you were a GM, you would have a BDC, and you'd have a manager, and you'd have an expectation. So I'm going to ask you this question that came in by Frank Lopes, and then Josh, I'll let you comment on it as well. The question was, how many leads can a good BDC rep handle? Tim, if you were a GM, I know it depends on the size of the store or whatever, of maybe what's coming in. But if you're looking for that right person, what should they be expected to handle in your opinion, Tim? And then I'll let Josh follow up on that as well.
I guess the initial answer is it depends, right? It depends on their skill level, how long they've been doing this, and their effectiveness. Number two, it depends on your technology. I had a meeting last night with Jim Roach. He owns T2 Modus, and they actually have a program that auto dials customers. It's all based on artificial intelligence, and it minds your customer base. It's not an equity tool, but it's an artificial intelligence to tell you if they have when this customer is going to be buying, and it's down to a 47% accuracy. And it's an auto dialer, so as a BDC rep, it automatically, I just hear hello, customer information pops up on the screen, and the script is there for me, gives me all the customer information like a 911 printout would be. And that with their BDC reps, they get about 20 contacts-ish per, give or take, 15, 20, he was saying, per hour. If I have a traditional, they have to click through dealer socket, find the customer, dial them up, and then call them, and it doubles the time just to even make the call. And this is all automatically done, and they don't get it until the computer calls them. So the answer depends. It depends on your technology that you're utilizing. Because it really comes down to efficiency. How can we be more efficient with it? And effectiveness, how can we make sure we're calling the right people, not just calling people, right? I always say, is it time invested or time spent? And there's a hell of a lot of time spent and not as much time invested when we're making our contacts with customers.
Thank you. And Josh, I'll let you follow up on that as well. But I got to say, that I think Patrick O'Brien's tweeting in about his speakers blowing up. He can't listen to the show till later on. How loud was he listening to something in his office to blow his computer speakers up? I don't know. But and he can't hear this until later on anyway, so he'll find out then. But Josh, do you want to follow up on that question? And I know Tim did say it depends on the technology, but earlier too, Tim, you were saying the people. So it's the connection between those two. If you have great technology, and horrible person there, then obviously that's going to make a difference, and then vice versa. So really, what Tim I think saying is that if you have you need to have both. You need to invest in the people and the right technology. Josh, what's your take on that?
Yeah, you have to invest in technology and people, and it really, like he said, it depends on the person. I've got DC reps that can handle 300 leads and crush it with those. And others that I dial it back in that 150 to 200. I think in reality, most people can handle about 150 to 200 without freaking out and basically just taking the cream off the top and getting those low-hanging fruits that they can get, and then the rest just kind of falls to the wayside. And so, yes, it depends on the individual. I've got one individual in my BDC who can handle that 350 and knock out, 150 appointments and have a 75% show ratio and a 75% sold ratio and absolutely kills it. And others can't exactly do it. And I think it really comes down to the individual, and that you have to continue to train those people to fix the little things that are going on that are taking some of their time, the time suckers that they're wasting a lot of time on. You've got to do that continual training and tweaking things for each individual to get better and better and better as you go along.
That's good.
Yeah, Josh, I wasn't really going to go back to the leasing aspect, but you said something that really caught my attention earlier. You said something about what GM was allowing you to do, or something to that effect. So, is General Motors limiting your outbound calls to lease customers?
No, I just they lease when it comes to the lease. They typically they'll start getting after our customers around that 6 month point to do the pull ins. And so, you run into a couple issues with incentives and everything, and some equity issues, and rolling some of those payments into that next lease. Because we try to pull people ahead as quickly as possible, and obviously get in their ear to let them know that something's going to go on, and their lease is about to expire, so they got to start thinking about it. But we try to pull them ahead as quick as possible. And so, yeah, GM doesn't really say you can't do anything, but, we want to get to them before GM does.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I just want to clarify that.
Still got a caller, y'all? What are you doing? Hey, hang loose, buddy. Oh, it's a call.
We have a caller on the line.
Do we have a caller on the line live? Hello, caller? Caller, are you there?
Yo.
Oh, I know that voice.
What's up, Auto Dealer Live?
Is Leslie? Is this Leslie Nielsen?
It is perfectly.
Leslie Nielsen.
It is exactly who it is. Oh, you caught me. Listen, I'm so pumped, but I have a big question for these guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
I hear a lot of really great stuff that's talking about the dealership culture, and that obviously seems to be the buzzword today, right? Culture. And first and foremost, I'm going to say it's not my opinion, but I'm curious their opinions on this. Everyone is talking about a lot of these big changes. You see, like Kintz pulled away from it. AutoNation did it. This whole blue shirt advisor mentality, right? Where they're taking folks and taking them from being, let's just say, the commission sales rock star, where they were, had to be, they were supposed to be a product expert, turn commission, right? And they did all these rock star things. And because so many people just weren't trained or whatever, we see a lot of big folks shifting gears, going, let's just give them a little salary, maybe some volume bonus, and let's take away from the actual commission rock star type salesperson. I believe that good commission salespeople still exist and can kill it, but I got to ask, what's the opinion of Josh and Tim and these folks on that model happening? Because I got to say, Tim Kintz actually said something to me a few weeks ago about buying and selling and what's going on, and I think there's some real big concerns there. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm teetering on whether or not it may be a good idea to go to that model. So I'd love to hear their opinion.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you,
and
Matt.
you know what? We'll let everybody kind of weigh in and kind of, we've got a few minutes left, but we'll start with Rebecca too, because Rebecca. I mean, again, this is just, you guys all have your area of expertise, but I think when it comes to commission sales and it comes to it not having a cap, I mean, it affects every department that we're talking about today. Rebecca, maybe you can weigh in on that, and then Tim and Josh and Jason, all of you guys, and I know time gets away from us, but Rebecca, why don't you start that off and then maybe bring that topic around.
Well, it's interesting. Thank you very much. It's very interesting about this topic. And actually, it came to my attention just the other day. I was in a blog, and I'm not going to mention the blog or that sort of thing, but we were talking about, and some of the sales associates were talking about these many deals, online deals, if you're really, whether or not we can increase pricing of these online deals when the customer comes in, and perhaps maybe they don't know any better or not. That's really kind of like, what are we doing? And if we're advertising an online car, guess what? It's got to be, we got to sell it for the online pricing. But my question was, why aren't we enhancing the purchase? Why aren't we doing a better job in offering? And it's funny because you've got, I think it's Jason talking about offering customer the ability to do this aftermarket, or the sales associate should be given the ability to present aftermarket or accessory items. And frankly, it came up in the blog that sales managers, et cetera, have gotten away from doing that. Well, I say let's get back into doing that, and let's we take some of these mini transactions, and I don't know. I mean, I think that a sales associate, he doesn't have to be. I don't know about this commission, that sort of thing, but I think that we need to get back on track and be able to be consistent in our overall practices and being able to give them the ability and training, if you will, to be able to offer these the aftermarket items, accessories. And then some of these guys, I'm going to throw this out and then I'll go ahead and hand it off. But I think some of these guys, depending upon the store, depending upon the training, if it's managed, if it's not managed, how well can they be a hybrid sales associate? And I know we've talked about this in the past, but there are some stores, there are some dealership cultures that, frankly, yeah, it can be done, and it should be done. And so I hand it over to Tim.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Tim, go ahead.
I kind of have a strong opinion on this because I think a lot of it really have sales prevention teams, not sales teams. And we have highly motivated customers coming in dealing with unmotivated, untrained, unprepared salespeople in a lot of cases. And it goes back to we have product presenters and whatever the hell you want to call them. And it's worked for a lot of stores. Look, there's a lot of stores that do really good with their walk-around experts, vehicle experts, product experts, whatever they want to call them. And it's been good, but keep in mind, for the last 6 years, we've had record years, year over year over year over year. And the question I always ask is, have we been selling those cars, or are people coming out and buying cars? Right? We have record low interest rates, economy's good, the consumer confidence is high, vehicles are better than ever. And what happens when we have a pullback? Because the question's never if, it's when is the pullback going to be. I've been doing this 27 years in the car business. So what happens when we have a pullback, when you have that person that can't, doesn't, and won't close? They don't do follow-up because they haven't needed to, because we've had endless traffic, whether it's online, on the phone, or belly to belly. And how are those dealerships going to survive when they don't have somebody that can generate leads, build value, close the customer, and take a one-time customer, turn them into a lifetime customer? Be relentless closers. Like I'm going to speak about, David, we're both speaking at the Rockstar event on March 13th, I think it is.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask all those guys, it's time to become relentless closers, relentless retention, relentless follow-up, relentless prospecting, everything. Because
Absolutely.
we can't count on the good times that we've had forever, and we have to be prepared for pullbacks.
It's good.
Yeah,
that's the definition of luck. That's opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah,
That's
I think those are great comments, and of course, Dave, and I'm sure you are too. We're big fans of having sales ability and being able to lead a customer to that place where ultimately there's so much value, that it doesn't make sense to do anything different. But there is something to this model, and I think on a couple different levels. One is the new marketplace, what people are used to as far as now the way they purchase and buy things, especially the generation coming up. And I think the model is sort of like, hey, let's let our product be the strength, and let's just have people that can demonstrate it in a wonderful way and give the customer the benefit of the doubt that they're intelligent enough to make a decision without being influenced. Let's go to Jason and your comments, Jason Lancaster.
Well, I guess what I would say is, so I spent a little time in the car business before I started this company about 10 years ago. And at the time, it was pretty clear, the writing was on the wall, that the car business was changing. And what we've seen is the margins have gotten tighter and tighter. And at some point, dealers sat down and decided, if we can cut some of our expenses out of the sales process, we can stay profitable. And I think that anytime you cut expenses to become profitable, you make a mistake. So, a lot of people don't realize that the average customer spends, at least on a truck, spends $3,000 on accessories on average. That means half of truck buyers are spending more than that on accessories, half are spending less. And a lot of people also don't realize that most accessories have a guaranteed margin. All the accessory manufacturers provide a 30 to 40% profit margin via a minimum advertised price policy, which is kind of what Toyota did on their new vehicles last year. That's really common in the aftermarket parts business. So my point is, there's an opportunity out there to add quite a bit of gross, and that allows you to pay salespeople a commission to be great salespeople, because the reality is, if you don't pay people to be good at sales, they're not going to be good at sales. They're going to go work in some other industry, or you're going to end up with a bunch of order takers, which I think is a great comment. You know, people have been selling, and we've been selling cars, or have people just been buying them? And I think that's a very smart observation.
You know, I love
You
that.
think it's expensive to train people? Imagine how expensive it is to have a bunch of untrained people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Tim. And you know, when I love what Jason just said, too, because, I mean, I'm sold. Like, I mean, you know, I know that there's people listening, and, you know, not that this conversation sways anyone, because I think that people are pretty much set. You know, it could help educate, maybe help you transition one way or the other. But, I mean, I'm sold on the fact that here, my company, you know, then my guys are going to, you know, get rewarded, and commission is a big deal. But, you know, Jason just hit something on the head. People are willing, two things I got out of that I've always, Tim, we've heard this. I've heard this my entire sales career. When value exceeds the price is not an issue. If I want something, you know, listen, you have to have the factory assembly line kind of, you know, churning out the, you know, the same color car over and over for the, you know, for the everyday person. But there's a group of people that are willing to, they want something other people don't have. They're willing to pay for it, period. And it's just the way it is. So what Jason just proved is, look, you know, people want what other people don't have, and they're willing to pay for it. And so if that's the case, I think that the car business is making a mistake. You know, if, in my opinion, if you start to try to cut back to save, how about get better, differentiate yourself, you know, and I'm just a big believer in that. And again, it's never been for everyone. It doesn't matter if it was 1975 and we're all wearing freaking polyester suits with our collars hanging out, with a cigar hanging out of our mouth, you know, slick hair salesman. It doesn't matter in that era.
I love
not
the 70s.
Everybody. Yeah. That shirt was that shirt.
I was
but
like
not
40.
everybody, even then, Josh. You know, and I know you're a young guy, but not everyone even then, okay, was willing to do what everyone else was willing to do. You know, and it was just a different time, same old story. Josh, you weigh in too, and we'll give you the last word, and then we're going to let everyone quickly come back and tell the customer, tell our listeners how they can reach you. So, Josh, when you're finished with your comment, if you can tell them how to reach you, and then we'll go down the line and let you guys give out your info.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, you know, the commission sales, you know, most of these guys have been working off minis for so long that really going to a flat type of commission structure is actually not a bad deal for them. And for so long, we've had, you know, different sales guys who will go after that one car that there's growth in because they've been working off minis for so long that they push this car on a customer and it ends up blowing up in their face. And so, you know, we recently went over to kind of a flat base commission structure. It's per unit type thing. But because we don't want our customers, we want our customers to feel important, and we don't want them to feel pressured into buying something they don't want. And sometimes when you have salespeople who are on that type of structure, they tend to not have the customer's best interest at heart. It's kind of the wham, bam, thank you, ma'am sales process, and they're going to sell them the car, and they're never going to follow up with them ever again because the customer in reality is probably going to be too flipped to be able to do anything anymore. And so that's the reason why we kind of have gone to that structure, because we want our customers' best interest at heart, and the dealership will profit from it by being that way. And so I think, you know, yeah, it's a structure that's different, and I know a lot of people are going away from the commission structure now. But in reality, some of these sales guys, and I hate to be this way, but we created this animal by creating sales staff who, you know, didn't want to follow up, and the whole churn and burn situation. We kind of created that. And so now it's time to fix it. And if we're going to get better as an industry, and if we're going to get better as dealerships, we have to fix these things, because in reality, this isn't going to be forever. We're not going to be selling cars as easy as we are now in 5 years. And so you either get your staff ready to go and trained up, how to follow up, how to pick up the phone, how to close a deal, all of those things. Then in the end, when all this comes about, your dealership is going to go under, and it's going to get eaten up by people like us and people that have done the work while it was good and just didn't sit around thinking it was going to be good forever.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh. I appreciate that, man. How do we reach you?
You can reach me on my cell phone at 859-421-9377, or you can email me at autodisruptor@gmail.com.
Thank you, sir.
Rebecca, please give us your closing thoughts on the subject, if you don't mind.
No, of course I don't mind. I couldn't agree more with Josh, and it really does take training, and it takes expect what you expect. And for those guys that have had it good for a long time, I mean, you got to know that there's weeds sooner or later, and it's really important if you're taking care of those weeds. Chances are you're not going to be surprised down the road. So that's really what it takes. It really takes just getting in there, getting it done, being consistent in your everyday practices, and really knowing your stuff. So you can reach me. My cell phone number is 404-276-4026, and my website is ccillearningcenter.com. I'm on Facebook, and certainly friend me there at Rebecca Chernek. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Rebecca.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Jason, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
The best way to get us is on our website, sporkmarketing.com.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
A good name, too, by the way. Love Sporks. Brings you back
Thanks.
to elementary school. I love it. Mr. Tim Kintz, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, sir, how can they do so?
They can get it at kintznow.com or tim@kintzgroup.com, or call my cell number at 469-475-3883.
Awesome. Well, we're going to talk a little bit. Thank you guys for coming on. Tim, I look forward to seeing you and Josh next month, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that here in a second. So thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. It's been a great panel. You guys did a great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Hey, listen, I want to talk just for a couple minutes, just real quick as we wrap it up. We're going to give away 5 tickets to managers, to dealer principals, general managers, general sales managers. First 5 people that call in, 813-574-1820. You get a ticket to the Rockstar Auto Conference. It's March 13th. I'm doing the opening keynote. Tim Kintz is doing the closing. Josh Mitchell, who you just heard, is going to be doing a workshop. There's speakers all day long. Matt Koenig. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas. So listen, first come, first serve. We have 5 to give away. This is going to be an amazing event. You do not want to miss it. And we're going to be there as well. It's incredible. Last year was off the chain, and I wish I could have went. We had something going on, but I will be there this time, and we're looking extremely forward to it. So call in, 813. You don't have to come on air. Our guys will handle you. First 5 that call in, 813-574-1820. Again, 813-574-1820. Our guys
sales managers?
Yeah, sales managers, GSMs, new
GMs,
car managers,
owners.
used car managers, GMs, owners. Yeah, so management. And that's what the 5 tickets are for. So if you're call in, or if you know somebody that would want to go and they can't get to the phone, call in for them,
Yes.
and then we'll get it registered. First come, first serve, 813-574-1820. Before we jump to commercial, you want to go back to commercial?
Real quick. 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere because I want you to weigh in, guys, on something that I want to ask you on Facebook and on Twitter. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Dave, listen, I want to tell you about an exciting event coming up in 2017 that you don't want to miss. Are you or are you not a rock star? Listen, I am. Listen, I know many people in the auto business that are rock stars, and Matt Koenig is one of those people. Listen, March 13th, Monday, 2017, in Dallas, Texas, I'm going to open up and kick off the Rockstar Auto Conference. You don't want to miss it. Be there, man. Fly into Dallas, man. Come on. Hey, we're back, guys. We have literally 60 seconds, but I want to touch on something really quick. I want you on Facebook and Twitter to weigh in on this because I want to know what you think about this. And I want to say it, but I didn't want to extend the time anymore. But listen, Josh Mitchell was talking about pressure. And, here's my question about that. Who cares about pressure?
Yeah.
And that's my opinion. I'm going to throw it out there. If you disagree, you could disagree. Who are these customers that are saying you can't pressure me? It's called sales.
That's right.
Don't think that pressure is a bad thing. I think that snake oil, I think that dishonesty, I think that lying is a bad thing. Manipulation, horrible. Pressure is not a bad thing. Sales is not a bad thing. Gross is not a bad thing. That's my opinion. And I think that you're going to separate yourself. Put me on the floor. I don't care if it's 2040. Am I going to be alive then still? What year? How old?
Sure you will be.
2040? How long ago is that?
Yeah, it's
20. Yeah. Okay, so
35 years.
until I'm like 80.
25.
Put me on the floor. Right now, I'm 44. You put me on the floor 20 years from right now when I'm 64 years old, and I don't care what the technology is. I don't care if they're driving land speeders. Okay, I'm going to outsell somebody. You get it? Okay.
Yeah. That's
my
because
beef.
you're sold,
I'm sorry.
by
I had
the
a
way.
rant.
Upcoming shows, thin line between love and hate. And then we've
I
got,
love you, Josh.
Yeah, we'll be talking a lot about the haggle, no haggle model, which Penske just did away with, by the way, after another failed try. The next week after that, pull the plug. We'll be talking about electric hybrid. March Madness, we'll be looking at what's going on in March. We'll be talking about the manufacturers.
The madness is
we'll
going
have a bracket. We'll have a bracket like the
Yes.
actual March Madness, talking
Yes.
about which manufacturers are where.
Is that the show that we're doing the squares?
No. And then
Hollywood
the
Squares?
following week, we have Market Moguls. We'll be talking about Market Moguls, how to dominate no matter what the market, small, large, medium.
big,
and then we'll be talking about shared custody. Who's your daddy? Where is your customer? Who do they belong to? Where do you find them? And then the last
Kinda
show,
depressing.
and gosh, we're a couple months out now. Quarterback. We'll be talking about the end of the first quarter. We'll be looking back on it. How you get your quarterback, guess what? You won't, so you better get it together now before the quarter ends. But we'll be reflecting, and then we'll be talking about how to maximize the second quarter.
All right, 813-574-1820. I'm not sure if they're still there or not. First 5 that call in, if they're still there, tickets. Rockstar Auto Conference, March 13th. It's just one day. Listen, it's on a Monday. You fly in on a Sunday. There's a dinner that night. You fly in, and then Monday there's a training. It is off the chain. You don't want to miss it. See you next week.
See ya.